So let's get into the meat of this. Training in residential, guys. And I spoke to a couple agents today just to make sure that I'm up to date, and I'll get Chris's input on this. But you're looking at about $10,000 per player, and it's really hard to get around that. By the time you pay for training for 8 weeks, by the time you pay for residence for 8 weeks, and that is the biggest issue that's killing people right now, is trying to find a hotel or an Airbnb or whatever, and trying to contain costs on residents. Once you pay for food, all those costs, once you pay for a little bit of travel here and there, it's gonna run you $7, $8, $9,000. At least 10 is probably your floor. The agent that I spoke to today, who got a player drafted last year as an independent agent, he said usually he's looking at 12 to 15. Chris, am I in the right ballpark?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this: we average about 14,000 a guy. But what I would tell you is, I think that's low on the low end for guys that are draftable quality guys. But we work really, really hard to not be cheap to the player, but still save costs at the same time, if that makes sense. So, just a few little tips. Airbnb is great, especially if you have multiple clients. That's going to be way cheaper per night than a hotel. If you have like a 4-bedroom house, which is like what we do, we get a very nice house, but we'll put 4 of our clients in there, way cheaper. If you don't have 4 clients, you can partner up with somebody else. Ask the training facility if they know of another player or another agent that's looking for housing, and you can share. And that goes from 120 a night, like at a hotel, to about $35 a night with an extremely nice Airbnb. So that's one thing. The second thing is on transportation. Rental cars will absolutely kill you because the players are under 25. When you're under 25, if you don't know this already, the rental car upcharge that if you're under 25. So you can actually ship a player's car to them for the facility cheaper, way cheaper than you can for a rental car. To give you an example, we have some guys that train in Colorado. I shipped a car from Dallas to Colorado for $880, whereas a rental car is going to cost me $1,400 a month. Okay, so you can see a big savings just right there. So we average about 14 grand. Again, that's without being cheap to the player, but with doing some things that I told you. But just understand, if your guy's a prospective 4th round pick, 3rd round pick, you're not getting out for less than 20 easily. But 14 is going to be a range for guys that are draftable from 4th to 7th, or high PFA type guys. And that's going to be a good range.
And you might be able to beat the system, guys. Every once in a while, you're going to get a kid that, as you go through, maybe you get a kid drafted that he just wanted to train at school, and maybe he lived at school, and you were just shot in the butt full of good luck. But generally speaking, if you want to get away spending $2,000, your chance of the guy getting on a 90 is, not very good. So the more money you spend, it's not a direct correlation, obviously, but you pretty much get what you pay for. And we're going to try to show you some ways to get around spending some crazy amounts, just like what Chris talked about. 2 great tips there that a lot of people don't know about, that I think you should really try to investigate as you go forward.
Is
Go ahead.
Neil, Chris, is that including food as well, or is that just strictly training and housing?
Most of the training packages at the facilities will have a food included in their training package. There'll be a few of them that are kind of the cut rate facilities that you might not. So then you got a whole new aspect. But look, sometimes, I mean, if it's a free agent, but you still feel good about it, you've talked to scouts, whatever. I mean, there's times where you can say, hey, we're going to cover your training and your housing, you're covering your meals, and that might be acceptable. I mean, you can feel that out, but just understand, if it's a draftable guy, you're going to cover everything. But again, most of the time that's going to be built into the training facility cost.
Yeah. Yeah. And if that guy's got solid 5th and 6th round grades, even though that's day 3, they're going to want the whole doodad. They're going to want everything. And it's going to be hard to get around.